Hello from Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. I moved here 3 weeks ago, basically making this place my new home for the next couple of months. More than 1 million of people from Russia and Ukraine and Belarus moved to Tbilisi since the beginning of the war. Most of them, they relocated to a different place already, but some of them stayed. And today we're gonna meet somebody who moved here a year ago, my friend Natasha. Natasha is a Russian girl from a tiny town somewhere in Russian Far East. She left Russia last year due to political reasons, and today she's gonna show me a little bit of Tbilisi, and then we'll talk about her life in Georgia. Russians go home, but we are kind of at home right now.
Yeah,
Where should we go?
my home is not my home anymore.
We met each other first time in Khabarovsk in 2020. I remember I was traveling from Vladivostok all the way to St. Petersburg. It took me like really long time. And once I stopped in Khabarovsk, I commented under your video and you had 1,500 subscribers. I had like 700 subscribers, so it was just the beginning of our journey. After that, I think the second time we met, it was online, right? It was already after the beginning of the war, and we talked over Zoom and talked about like life in Russia and stuff. And then we met exactly a few weeks before you get into Georgia, like a year ago.
In St. Petersburg, 1 year ago. And now we're here, and it is so different. And we meet, every time we met, it were different stages of my life.
Was it your desire to come to Georgia and to live here, or why did you choose this place to live?
It would be more organic if I came here because I love this country, because I always wanted to be in Georgia. But as for a big amount of other Russian citizens, I came here because it is probably the only and the most comfortable possibility. Some people go to Asia, to other countries.
Some people, that's me.
Yeah, some people go to Bali, Indonesia, and so on. So, but Georgia, for me, it was a perfect situation, and they have 1 year visa for Russians. So as a tourist, you can stay 1 year here, up to 1 year. Also good conditions to like start the business. Older generation of people speak Russian here. Some people speak English, younger people. So it's comfortable here. Tbilisi walls are rich with street art and very meaningful street art, and the example is this corner. So first there is Georgian map, but with the European Union like flag. This Free Karamurza, I think it's painted by some Russian activists, is the Russian political prisoner. This is the Georgian flag. This is War is Hell. And the last one is some swear words about Putin, and it's a really common like slogan at the protests. So this all is connected.
I remember my first impression of like getting to Georgia, to Tbilisi, and seeing all this graffiti on the walls saying like "fuck Russia." That was a very odd feeling. I felt like maybe if they have these graffitis, they wouldn't like to have me to talk to me like just for the fact that I'm coming from Russia. But after some time of staying in Georgia, I learned that there's graffiti saying like "fuck Russians," and there are people who are communicating with Russians just normally.
I can relate to that, but first when I came to Georgia, I idealized everything here, so I even liked those graffiti. I was like, yeah, it's offensive, but I know that it's for the pro-Putin Russians, so it's not related to me. But after some time, I started to be offended, like be sad about those graffitis. Now I think that it's okay that they are here. Some people express their opinion. I think it's not the majority, because like you had, I also had the mostly positive experience with the local people. When I speak with them and I see that they can differentiate people from the government. So one more interesting thing, I saw a lot of graffiti "fuck Russians," but one I saw was "fuck Russians, they are hot." And I really liked this one. I think it's on spot.
At first, when I got here, I wasn't that comfortable speaking Russian language to local people, but then I somehow developed a strategy to talk in languages to Georgians. Like if I see somebody who is above certain age, I just speak Russian language. Let's say somebody who is like 40 plus, I speak Russian safely. If somebody is like young enough, I just speak English without even trying Russian, because chances are they don't know about, like, they can't speak Russian.
I sometimes say this phrase in Georgian, Rusulat laparakopt, or Rusulitsit, which means do you speak Russian? And then they decide. But mostly, if it's, like you said, people like older than 40, they understand Russian. Young people may understand Russian too, but I don't know if I feel that it is offensive for them if I start speaking Russian, because nobody owes me speaking Russian in a foreign country. So it is their choice what they want to speak.
This dog's been following us for like good half an hour. I feel it's our dog now.
Вот это какой-то милый магазинчик или это кафешка.
Можно зайти.
Давай. Хотя я стесняюсь заходить в такие места, потому что как бы они очень маленькие, и сразу продавец с тобой коммуницирует. Надо типа что-то купить, а уходить с пустыми руками неловко.
I can take the first hit and say hi.
Камаджаба.
Камаджаба. It's a lovely coincidence. I've been just looking for a cup for my Turkish coffee, and I thought, okay, we get in. Natasha liked this store, but actually I found something that I wanted for myself, and I want to get it. It cost 40 lari, which is like $15, like 15 American dollars. It's cute. So we were inside of this store for like, I don't know, for 10 minutes, and this guy, he was waiting for us. The selling lady, she wasn't happy us to be there filming. Maybe she was a bit hostile for the fact that we were speaking Russian.
I felt uncomfortable when we entered and you said in Russian. So you greeted the saleswoman in Russian, but then you asked her again, do you speak Russian? In Russian. And she said, English, please. And then we switched to English. And I was like, probably she hates us.
My tactic for speaking Russian for somebody who is like over 40 years old didn't work at this place. Anyway, happy that you noticed that little store. I was looking for a teacup like that for a long time. And today, good coincidence.
I really like the fact that how countries use their soft power to promote their culture, to build relationships, friendships. So this is Goethe Institute here in Georgia, in Tbilisi, in Russia. There also was such a thing, but as many other things, it was closed, kicked out of the country, considered like undesirable organization and foreign agent, and it's really sad. There are many cafes that are opened by Russian immigrants, and usually they have really good quality. And one of them is where we're going now. It's like tea house. It's also a shisha, a hookah place. I mean, really fancy restaurant, and it is located in such a corner that hard to find. I was lost the first time I was trying to find this cafe.
Our friend is still following us. Like somebody will comment that that is a KGB dog.
This looks like some corner with a trash can, but wait for it.
I should agree, that was rather a suspicious entrance. At this point, I think that Natasha's and my outfit are kind of similar a little bit with these clothes. I swear, didn't plan that. I just want to show you this piece of the Tbilisi life. It's so cool to see, I don't know, this kind of old buildings. I never lived in anything like that. There's like local people, friend gathering or something like that. There's really cool staircase coming here.
And I would point out that these apartments and balconies are so eclectic. So it was common many years ago in Georgia to build some additional parts to your apartment, which is not like legal. Sometimes it's like the brick building and some part built over it, another floor built.
Looks like people just build it here on top of different construction. I don't know how comfortable it will be like living in these buildings, but definitely it's a vibe.
We are romanticizing it a bit, like, oh, this cozy balconies, but I think people who live there can be quite poor.
Welcome to David's garden. Should I blur it? There's too many dicks to blur. I don't know if that's like YouTube friendly. I'm glad that this David doesn't have it too. This thing is pretty interesting. I thought I can take it, but I cannot. It's like glued to the table. And it's entirely in Russian. This says официант, which means waiter. This one is кальянщик, which means like hookah guy. Sounds weird. And this means shot, which means like pay the bill. Yeah, let's have a look what is in the menu. Like Natasha said that the prices here are rather like higher than usual. So let's check out if we can find anything that I would like to order for myself. So over here we have hookah brunch, which is a very odd combination for me. It's like a classic hookah and dish of your choice and drink of your choice. It's something that I never do. I don't like smoking like stuff like that. Some coffee, European and Oriental. That's interesting. Classic tea and Eastern tea, and they even have like tea ceremony. They do have a lot of drinks here. And as for prices, I'm familiar with Americano prices, and like 8 lari for a cup of Americano. That is rather, I don't know, normal for Tbilisi restaurant or coffee shop. Yesterday I paid 14 lari for a cup of like specialty coffee.
Where was it?
It was, you know, in Vake. There was like a tiny shop selling some like specialty coffee, and I was like, interesting. I sometimes like trying that, something more interesting than a cup of Americano. And you know what? That coffee shop that was opened by Russians.
It's interesting that coffee culture, like this fancy specialty soy and so on coffee culture, was not developed in Tbilisi that much until the Russian immigrants came, and now many people open it here for the Russian diaspora, and it's quite prosperous. Like there is a cafe opened by a guy from Khabarovsk in Baku. It's like a pancake place. So I don't know what local people feel about this. For us, it's really convenient, but I hope that it at least contributes to the Georgian economy.
Then, we need to wait 10 or 15 seconds to make our tea. When it's get ready, we put it in chakhay. These dishes are from China, also it's tea from China. This dish name is chahu and chakhay. It's compliment for us, it's like sweeties. If you want strong tea, you can wait 20 or 30 seconds.
Проще, чем мой микрофон, там немного он неудобен, надо.
How do you feel about like living in Georgia 1 year later?
After 1 year, I would say my life hasn't changed much, so I still don't want to return to Russia, and I still know that I want to go somewhere to, I think, Western Europe. But I haven't decided it yet, and it's a big reason for my anxiety. It's like, oh, I have to think about the future. But at the same time, I realized that while I feel so comfortable in Georgia, and like I set up my small business here for my YouTube vlog and so on, I came here only because it is my only choice, as for many Russians, to go here.
Can you share a bit like how your day is going on here? Like your typical day in Tbilisi?
I think is quite boring and different from other people because I work from home. I'm a YouTuber. It's my only source of income, and YouTube is my only job and hobby at the same time. So I just sit at home, drink coffee, I don't know, go on with my life. make videos sometimes, even though it's also a problem to post consistently and frequently. So now I'm trying to work on that. But whenever I go out of home, it's to the store, to walk with some friends in the cafe, or to some like event. It can be a protest, it can be some meeting in the Frame or in some other organization. So I used mostly taxi, and it's interesting that taxi here is quite affordable. At the same time, I feel bad about it all the time, that I should use the public transport, the metro. I love the metro here, but I use it not often. Also, I don't live in this fancy city center, but I lived here in my first months when I lived here, and it's really beautiful. So that's basically my life. I'm sorry, I just laughed that this kid, I don't know if it was on the camera scene,
yeah, I think he successfully avoided it.
This kid just, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I think I have the last important question to you. Like, do you feel happy living here right now?
Such a strong, such a deep question. I think, yes, I feel happy and happier than when I was in Russia, because, well, my life, so as I said, now it's quite boring. I just sit at home, sometimes go somewhere, but in Russia my life would be the same. But in addition to it, there would be more anxiety about like my activity online, because in my videos I said many things for which I already can go to jail because of the current laws in Russia. So there I had a lot of anxiety, and here I don't have it. Yeah.
That's a good answer. And when you said about like a deep question, you mentioned something that made me think about even a deeper, more philosophical question, like what is happiness for you?
Recently, I realized that absence of anxiety is happiness for me. My level of life changed critically about 2 years ago when I started to earn money from YouTube. Like before, I lived in not good conditions. I only spent all my money for food. But after my YouTube channel became successful, I'm like, oh wow, I never saw such money. And now I still have good income, and I'm so happy about this. I don't know how many years it will continue. I hope that for many years. I hope that one day I will not just burn out of making videos. But yeah, for me, I think that now, like basically, financial stability is the big part of my happiness, even though they say that money is not the happiness, blah, 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 yes. But when your basic needs are met, it's really important.
I think I would agree that a part of happiness is to have no anxiety, and having money is kind of key to lowering the amount of anxiety you have in your daily life. I felt it first time when I moved from Russia to China. It was such a huge jump from earning something like, I don't know, $300 a month to earning $1,300 a month, and then up to $2,000 a month. And that time I realized that having all your basic needs covered, you're getting the luxury to think and worry about other things, not about what you're getting on your table, and not about like how do I afford this and that, but something more like above that.
Why I said that absence of anxiety is happiness for me, because I do have a lot of anxieties, and sometimes it's some doesn't even make sense, so I worry about things that are just nonsense. But it really depends on such basic things as just good sleep. So if I didn't sleep good, I feel bad the whole day, I cannot function. And sometimes if I have these bad thoughts, I remind myself that today, do I have these thoughts because it is really something important, or just because I didn't sleep well?
I hope I did not bother Natasha too much with these questions about happiness. It's like happiness and freedom, the most important things in my life, and I'm happy to see that Natasha has gained her freedom to travel, her freedom to speak, and is gaining her happiness, like getting rid of extra anxiety she had earlier in her life. I hope you guys, like you behind the screen, also having happy moments in your life, and you can make me a little bit happier by liking this video and subscribing with a notification bell. That's super important for YouTube algorithm. Спасибо and пока!